Good morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. Welcome to Shofar Mountain. I am Pastor Joe Fox. You know, a little over 3 years ago, I started as pastor the book of Luke, and we just finished that last week. So yeah, it took us a while. And the reason we did Luke, went through Luke, was because I wanted to do Acts, the book of Acts. You see, as a pastor, I had gotten really fed up with, as many of y'all have, with how church goes, right? You know, why do we do what we do? Why do we sit in pews? Why am I the guy standing up here behind the pulpit talking and you just sit there and listen very quietly, don't interrupt? I mean, you know, what's that all about? Why do we celebrate the things we celebrate in the way that we do? And I started asking myself these questions. I read a really good book called Pagan Christianity that a sister gave me to read. And I knew about half of it, but about half of it I didn't know. And so it led me questioning all these traditions of man that had seeped into the church. And so I figured, I thought, let's look at the first century church. You know, those people who lived with, listened to personally, walked with, talked with, ate with, probably slept in the next room or the same room as Yeshua, as Jesus. And then he dies. And he rose again, and they carry on, right? And they start, if you will, the church, right? How did they do church? Because you got to figure they were the first ones, right? And so they had the least amount of traditions of men into their church. And so let's go look at how they did church, and that was the book of Acts. Well, I started studying Acts with that purpose in mind and realized that we probably needed to cover Luke first. Luke and Acts used to be one book. And so we did Luke, and that was, I think, about 3 years ago. So now we're finally in Acts. Another thing that Acts did is at the same time, in our church, Round Prairie Community Church, I had started a Tuesday night group called Christians in Community, where we were looking at the concept of living together as we read that some did in Acts, specifically in chapter 2, but there's other verses. Is that possible to do today? Do we need to do that today? Is that even conceivable in the 21st century to, hold all things in common and, worship together, pray together, live together, eat together? And if so, how would that work? What would that look like? Yada, yada, yada. So we started looking at that, and we came to the conclusion that, it would probably work. And then we came to the idea, and you've heard this before in other videos, intentional community might be a way to go. And then bada bing, bada boom, we get going on it. And then somewhere along the line, the Most High showed me, Torah. And so there you go. And that's how we are here today. But what I wanted to talk to y'all about today is have some peace of mind. Just be calm. I got up this morning like y'all did, and, I got in the Word, and I prayed, and then I surf Drudge, and I surf other news sources. And it's amazing what you don't see, right? What you're not hearing in there. And the world's about to get real scary. For some people, it already is very scary. And what I'm telling y'all is we're going to see some amazing things, some scary things, amazing in a scary kind of way. People are going to get freaked out. You think Black Friday was bad? Just wait. And people are going to despair. Don't despair. Jesus is coming. Yeshua is coming. We're going to go, we're going to start Luke's chapter 1, Acts chapter 1. And we're going to go to 1 Thessalonians, and you can read in chapter 4, and I'm not going to quote scripture for you right now, but you can read how, it says Yeshua, the Lord himself, will descend, right? He's going to come back down to the Mount of Olives, and there's a reason we're going there, but that's part of the sermon. And then that takes us to Zechariah and reading about the return of our Messiah. And the bottom line is, it's going to be okay, right? He is coming back, and he's coming for us, and so life is going to be good. And I'm talking about the Revelation, 12:17 saints, right? Those who, and go look at Revelation 12:17 if you're a believer, and tell me who those people are. There's I talked about this before, what, I call the scariest part of the Bible, which is in... And for some people, and I think it should be, you should consider it scary. If you look at Matthew chapter 7, starting in verse 21 through 23, and it says, not everybody who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, Read about that. Because, those people that he's talking about, I'm going to offend some people. Those people are not Muslims. They're not New Agers. They're not people who suddenly get the fact that he's the Lord. These are people who've been waiting on him to come back. And he says to them, get away from me. I never knew you, you workers of iniquity, you workers of lawlessness, you workers of Torahlessness. If Jesus Christ is your Lord and Master, then you should do what he said. Jesus is God, right? What did God say? So for y'all need to do some thinking. For those of you who think you're getting raptured out of here, you need to do a lot of thinking. And for what I call the Revelation 12:17 saints, y'all need to just be encouraged. Be encouraged. It's going to be okay. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I'm not saying you're not going to go through trials and tribulations, but it's all going to work out. It's going to be cool. You do your bit. He's going to do his bit, and I will see you out there. Shalom.